Hi, everyone. My name is Anita, QHHT Practitioner, and happy Labor Day. It's September 1st. It's hard to believe that the summer is already gone and we're stepping in yet. It always feels the fall for me. It feels like we're stepping into a new chapter. So I want to talk to you today about the power of past life regression. And I talk a lot about this with people and my clients and people who ask me about hypnosis. So I thought the best way to give you examples of the power of past life regression is to share my experiences with you that I've had personally. So I was very fortunate in this process, and I had basically I felt stuck in my life like everybody else. I had blocks. There was a lot of transitions going on at my life, and I just didn't know where I was going. I wasn't happy. I didn't feel good. I was physically not feeling good. Um, I just had a lot of things in my life that were upsetting, and I was angry, and I really needed to figure out a way to move forward. And so, in order to move forward, I had discovered Dolores's Cannon technique, QHHT hypnosis, and I basically decided that it was time for me to go and see what this thing does. I thought the worst that can happen is nothing can happen. So basically, I booked my session and I worked with Soonja Kim, level 3 practitioner, and I had no idea how that day, December 21st, was going to change my life forever. No idea. So I went to see Soonja, and she was quite amazing. We spoke for 3 hours, and we talked about a lot of things, and she had helped me actually realize that there was things in my life that I wasn't even addressing. I was completely ignoring them. And she sort of had this incredible ability to sort of help me bring those things to the surface. So I went into trance, and basically we had an amazing session. And as soon as I came out of the session, usually what a practitioner does is they give you a minute, to adjust, and you've got to kind of climatize. You come back. 2 hours in hypnosis is it's physically you're sort of out of it. So you need a few minutes to kind of get back, have a little bite to eat, drink water, go to the washroom, and then you can kind of bring yourself back to reality. And then usually what the practitioner does is they talk to you about your session and they go through the highlights. So almost immediately when I woke up, Soonja said to me, would you be a research client for me? And I was like, uh, absolutely. I had no idea what that meant. All I knew was that I wanted to do hypnosis again. I'd had the ride of my life. I was just in amazement by the information that was coming out of me, things that I was talking about. I was very clear. I use my hands a lot, and I talk. I'm loud, and I was laughing, and I was all kinds of things. And I thought, yeah, well, perhaps I'm a good client because I'm quite talkative and really eager to share information. It was really interesting because when she would ask me questions that were outside of in other areas, I was always really, really excited to answer those questions. So I agreed immediately. And basically what it meant was that I would come meet with Soonja Kim once every 2 months, and she would hypnotize me. And basically, the majority of questions that she asked would be her own questions based on whatever she was interested or researching, as well as there was always a small portion of the session, of course, that would address anything that I was going through at the time. So it was very interesting because the superpower thing that I had immediate that I'd never would have thought ever in my life could occur was about a week before a scheduled session. I woke up and my left leg from the knee down was tingling. It felt numb. I had hard times walking on it. It took me time just to get out of bed. And I think I was limping for like a week. And I just couldn't figure this thing out. And it literally like was from the knee down on the left side. And I just couldn't understand, how does somebody wake up with a leg that you can barely walk on? So I was very fortunate at that moment, because within a week I was going to go see Soonja and for a session. And I thought, well, you know what, let's ask in the session and figure this thing out, and then I can go to the doctor. Because I was going to be going to the doctor, and I had no idea what I was going to tell this doctor, because it was no pain and there was no injury. So I didn't even know how to explain it, what I was experiencing. So I went for my session. I told Soonja, we talked about everything that was going on with my left leg. And basically she had all the information to go in and ask. So when I went into my hypnosis, I went immediately into a past life. And that past life was, I was a farmer somewhere in the Midwest, felt like somewhere in the early 1900s, or like 1880, somewhere around the turn of the century. I was definitely in North America, and I was a farmer. I was a wheat farmer, and I had a big farm, and I had 8 children, and I was married, and I was a very hard worker. And funny, Doris Cannon referred to these lives as kind of potato picker lives, kind of boring lives. We're farmers and gatherers, and not much goes on. So it felt like this was the kind of life that I had. So basically, I was this farmer with children, married, hard life, up at 5 in the morning, tending to a farm, animals, all the rest of it, till late at night, going to sleep, doing this over and over again, and somehow trying to support and feed these 8 children. And so what happened to me was, one day I was in the field, and I was clearing parts of the field with wheat, from a wheat that could not be, we had sort of machines. I explained that we had not tractors, but we had these plows that cut wheat, and I'm assuming we hooked them up to horses. And so again, prior 1900s for sure. And so there was an area that had to be cut by hand, because it couldn't be plowed with the horses and the cutter. It had to be done with a big hoe. And I explained, it was a sort of a long stick with sort of a half circular blade on it. And you have to shift this, you have to swoop this thing in order to take a whole bunch of wheat out with this blade. So I was doing this, and apparently I had made a mistake in being very, using way too much strength and going way too fast. And basically somehow I had cut off my leg, and I had cut off my leg from the knee down on the left side. And boy, was I upset. I wasn't upset about losing the leg in the sense of me. I was really upset because I had let down my family. What was I going to do now? Who was going to do all the work? How was I going to feed these children? I had now put a huge burden on me. I had really been, well, I cried. I cried in that session. I couldn't believe what I'd done. And I'd done it to myself. So it was even worse. Like, what a silly thing I had done. So basically, as we went through the session, Soonja asked, was this the cause of what I was feeling in my present life, with this sensation that I had in the left leg from the knee down? Yes, I answered. This was it. And this was an opportunity to clear. So she had cleared it, and I woke, didn't feel anything. I should say, I felt my leg was fine. I didn't even really think about it, that was the issue, because I'd gone into other lives, and we talked about so many other questions, and it was the very beginning of the session. So then Soonja had asked me, when I had come out of the session, she said, how's your leg? And I said, my leg is fine. And she told me the story of how I explained I was the farmer, and I cut off my leg, and I was fine. My leg was fine, and there was never anything ever wrong up until this day with that part of my body again. And what's interesting is when we train with Dolores Cannon in the school of QHHT, um, it's not always, but often when somebody has a left-sided issue on the body, it usually is equated to a past life experience. And when somebody has an issue on the right side of the body, it's usually equates to a present day issue. So that was really quite a wonderful session that showed you the work of Dolores Cannon, and basically extraordinary. So that's the power of past life regression. And then the next session I had, probably 5 or 6 months later, was I went into a past life where I was a sort of a middle-aged man on the Congo, African American, and I had two brothers. I refer to them as brothers. They weren't my brothers, though. They were part of my clan, part of my tribe. And we were running the village. And basically, we were these three sort of wise men, and we were sitting on a fire, and we would, I don't know, be chewing tobacco and laughing and singing. And we were also very much, we each had these special talents. And my talents really was, I was the hunter. I was the hunter and I was the warrior. And basically what I did was I helped teach the young men to hunt. And I taught them where all the animals were and how to go after them. And I taught them how to make spears and how to hide in the bushes. I mean, this was really my thing. I was also a healer, and everything that I did with these two brothers, we were everything. We were the judge, we were the police, we were the healers, we were the matchmakers, we were the hunters, the providers, and we really worked in this group very well together. And we all had skills that put together to help keep our village happy and eating and surviving and having children and healing people and making sure that our lives were very good. And we were very happy in that Congo. So I see myself working with the youth and helping them and training them and being very proud of the things that I do. Because for me to empower somebody with the skills of hunting so that they can feed themselves and others, that's a really, really powerful tool when you live off the land. So I was very, very happy, and I was so happy to see them learning and, hunting and doing really well. And, I saw scenes where my students were hunting animals, and they would take them and bring them back to the village, and we would have these beautiful ceremonies of celebration, and everybody would be fed, and how great they felt. I mean, it was a really wonderful life. And so I aged through this life. I was moved forward in that life, and I kept aging and I kept aging. And one day, I don't know, I went out and I was hunting. And, but I seemed to have been by myself, not sure why, but I was hunting, looking for a particular animal. I think we were having some special celebration, some feast. And so I felt I was just going to go out there and do it myself. And I ended up being attacked and killed by a lion. And some of my students who had come behind me and had watched this, they killed the lion. So here was me dead, and here was the lion dead. Well, this was the greatest honor I could have ever had, was to be killed and taken out by a lion. It showed the power of my connection to the planet, and it showed the power of me serving my purpose in this lifetime, was that although I was hunting and killing animals for the survival of my village, I was also very connected to these animals. And I felt it was only right that I be taken out by one of these animals, as they had provided for me. It was now my turn. So in my village, being killed by a great lion was a true honor, and was also a great honor of being part of the chiefs of that clan, and it was wonderful. And I saw that celebration of myself and the lion and the skin of the lion and my body being burned at the fire. And it was a great celebration for the village. Wasn't sadness, it was celebration, because I effectively had gone to where I'd come from, the spirit of the lion. So what did that do for me? I mean, that was a really powerful moment. And what it did for me really was it helped me to understand that I was a warrior and I was a healer and I was very, very strong. And I had the capacity to do whatever it was I put my mind to do. And I knew that my association with the planet and animals and my sensitivity, me being empathic, I understood all these things in a very different way, the way I'd never understood them before. And this compulsion to want to heal and help people was really, really fortified by that particular past life. And so it also helped guide me into understanding that hypnosis really was my place. And I was infatuated with it and loved it and saw the power of what past life regression could do for people. And I saw what it could do for myself. Then I've also said in some of my videos, I stopped smoking after 20 years. It really brought me to a place that I believe I would have never come to without hypnosis. So if you feel compelled, if you're stuck, if you're blocked, book a session or go to Dolores Cannon's site, QHHT Official, see if there's a practitioner in your area. I'll put that link for you down below. Let me know if there's any information you'd like to know. You can always contact me or leave comments. Like and subscribe. Happy Labor Day weekend, and I wish you all fabulous fall. Thanks, and come again.